gender. And yes, this why a lot of people ask, this act is only restricted to women. Why so? There may be a possible other situation where man undergoes any such circumstances. So is there no protection? So my answer to this is that yes, there is a protection that is granted or given under various other laws, but there was a need to protect women's rights specifically, and this act into existence. So yes, in order to eradicate discrimination, this act was brought into existence. The top priority of this act is all the women's and all the laws that are for the protection of women rights that will be dealt by my co-speaker in in slides ahead to make it more clear to you. But the priority is as on this. Can we have the next slide?
The next slide
talks about Indian law on sexual harassment. The objective of these laws, as I mentioned initially, was the three major grounds: prevention, protection, and redressal in Constitution. The basic judgment that came in 1997, that is Vishakha versus State Rajasthan. This very first judgment that was passed by Supreme Court in that said here, observing that equality in employment cannot be achieved if a woman are subject to any gender specific violation at workplace, and such as sexual harassment or any sort of harassment that a woman undergoes at workplace. So this was the essence of the judgment that was passed by Supreme Court year back. However, back time then, our legislature or central government, they started enacting on this, but nothing was on paper till 2013. In the light of Vishakha judgment, however, a law for protection of women from sexual harassment at workplace in 2007, when the Protection of Women Against Sexual Harassment at Workplace bill was passed. Again, in that year, bill was passed, was introduced in the parliament. This never saw light till in 2013, when Supreme Court again in Medha Kotwal Lele versus of India stated that Vishakha guideline has to be implemented in form. That means again in 2000, Supreme Court observed that years back order was passed, which was not actually brought into existence, that needs to see the sunlight and that needs to be practically in this world or in India under current circumstances. So as per the guidelines, original bill finally under the sexual harassment of women at workplace, Bill 2013 bill was passed again, which clearly reflects the objective of ministry for passing this legislation, that is not just to focus on redressal, but the complaint of sexual harassment, but to focus on the prevention. The agenda was very clear when this act was brought into existence. Okay, next slide.
Okay, the next slide is the existence of POSH.
Yes, so the existence of POSH I have just covered. We can go to the next slide. But I would like my viewers to just go through the third point. Talks about that the Sexual Harassment of Women Workplace Act was outcome of her case. So, reads.
Excuse me, I request if the video could be off because the voice is cracking a lot and could not gather properly. It's a kind request from my end. Thanks.
All right. So, is it clear now?
Yeah, it is much better now. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Can you see the slide now?
Yeah. Can we? Yeah, I can see the slide. Can all of us see the slide?
Yeah, I can see it at least. You can see?
All right. Yeah. So the last four italic lines, if we read, Vishakha triggered a nation consciousness on an issue that was until then not given its due importance. Following up on Vishakha, the Supreme Court of India enlarged the scope of sexual harassment by ruling the physical contact was not essential to be considered an act of sexual harassment. Very correctly, this observation was made by Justice then. Sexual harassment is not only when somebody try to harm you physically, but also अगर किसी भी तरीके से आपको harass किया जा रहा है, which will directly affect your mental status or any sort of physical damage or harm, then yes, this act will come to your rescue. Can we go to the next slide? Now, about the applicability of law. Where can and where at what all places this law is applicable? Act of 2013 is applicable. POSH at Workplace Act is applicable to every work. Every workplace literally means every workplace. Be it be your house, your office, or you are working from home. That will be further dealt in our presentation.
And
Any
Surangma, it's
company or-
also applicable to the ship also.
Indeed, very much. And I think so you will be the best person to talk about when it comes to ship.
Yeah, yeah, that is later. Yeah.
Yeah. So employing 10 or more employees. SORU Act talks about that where there are 10 or more employees, there the act would come. But later on, there is a definition given to in this act also, which talks and which covers domestic helpers. So I will be coming to that. But for now, we should know that any person who is working full time, part time, or even an intern or a consultant, even if we are giving any consultation, then too you are at your workplace, be it be for 5 minutes telephonic consultation or be it be 1 hour meeting consultation. But yes, that will come under the purview of POSH Act, irrespective of its location or nature of industry. Next slide.
Surangma, just one question here. If
Yes.
we are not employing more than 10 people, then how does one go about it? Because there are many organizations which may not have 10 people.
Right. So, if this portion will be basically dealt by Dr. Sanchita, because she will be talking about ICC and LC. So once we'll have ICC and LC on plate, we'll be able to understand this better. That 10 से ज़्यादा अगर कहीं employee है तो उनके कहाँ पे उनको approach करना होगा अपनी complaint के लिए. All right. So probably we can have ICC and LC, and then we can come back to this topic. Now, moving ahead, we have rights of constituents. Constitution, women in India are recognized and various protections when it comes to Indian Constitution. There are our preamble. If we talk about our preamble, grants and guarantees social, economic, political justice, and equality of status, opportunities, and the dignity of every individual. So this is a general preamble that goes and that implies to all of us, be it be a male, female, or a transgender, or any other. So this preamble is for all. When we come to Indian Constitution, Article 14, 15, 19, and 21, they specifically talks about our rights, our fundamental rights. So when 14 and 15, we talk about 14 and 15, that embodies the concept of equality and prohibits discrimination on the ground of religious, race, caste, sex, or place, or birth, or any one of them. In simple terms, if we say कि अगर हमारे वर्क प्लेस पे हमारे रिलीजन, रेस, कास्ट या जेंडर या किसी भी चीज को लेकर के डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किया जा रहा है, तो आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज देयर टू प्रोटेक्ट आवर राइट. एंड वंस अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज देयर, POSH is always there to protect our rights. With Article 19 in scene, this gives a fundamental right to all citizens to practice any profession or to carry out any occupation, trade, or business. If I am an employee or if I am doing any business, it's my fundamental right. I should not be stopped, or I should not any sort of problem that comes to me. I have my constitution protecting me. And if anybody tries to stop me or try to take any undue advantage of my work profile, Then too, my constitution is there to protect me, and my Sexual Harassment Act is there to protect me. Article 21 that talks about life and personal liberty. I'm sure about this Article 21, all of us are very well aware. So do this covers our Sexual Harassment Act as well, and this protects our Article 21 as well. Can we have the next slide? Now, if we talk about this act, there are certain important definitions that every employer or employee should know. And I'm sorry, I think I have missed on stating the fact that how important POSH is about for all the companies in current scenario. A company having POSH, or a company if there is no POSH, or probably IC or LC के बारे में जब हम आगे बात करेंगे, so that company has to face repercussions if there is any sort of misbehavior or if any sort of complaint is registered. So coming back to this definition, I will not be taking up all the definitions, but yes, I will be highlighting few major definitions, that is of employer. Now, as per section 2G of this act, it talks about who is an employer. As we all can read from our presentation slide out here, any department, organization, undertaking, establishment, enterprise, institution, office, branch, or unit which is established, owned, controlled, or fully or substantially financed by funds provided directly, and so on, or any private sector organization or private venture undertaking, enterprise, institution, establishment, society, trust, non-governmental organization, unit, or service provider carrying on commercial, professional, vocational, educational, entertainment, industrial, health. So these two definitions, these two clauses of this definition of employer as per 2GI, from reading this bare act, this appears as a very restricted, but Dr. Sanchita will be telling you how wide this term employer is all about, with various examples that what comes under the purview of employer. Can we have employee now? Next one.
Yeah. Surangma, before you go on, till now what we have heard is that it is only a law which is only for women. So how does our constitution get protected? That why not anything else? Why only for women, and why not for the other sex or the others who don't call them either a male or female?
So this is a very suited question, which on and off we get to hear, even when I go for counseling or when I go to represent my client in a meeting. So from the other side, I get to hear why is this act so women oriented? So to make it specific, as I initially started, that there were many laws protecting rights of citizens. However, even in Vishakha judgment, this observation was very clearly made that there need to be, we need to bring a law into existence which will exclusively protect women's right. This law is not about saying that there is no other laws for men, right? So there are laws. Indian Penal Code is there, wherein we similar. If we talk about disputes, or if you talk about any such grievances, Indian Penal Code has similar grievances, but POSH is female centric, I would say, and yes, protects the right of women. But that doesn't mean that there are no laws for male, right? So there are various laws for male which they can avail if any sort of dispute is there, or if they are aggrieved, or if they are sexually aggrieved. There are laws for them, and our constitution and Indian Penal Code both are justifying it. So should I proceed?
Yes, because I think this question is still which lot of men at least will have in mind. And
yeah, definitely. We can have a thorough discussion.
And I'm not sure. There are some other people now in the world who don't call themselves a male or a female also. and they prefer to not inform their sex, or they say they have some other. So those people also might have an issue about this law. So maybe at some stage, if you can also later on say something more about it, then it will be good.
Definitely. We'll definitely cover the point of view from transgender point of view. Even I and Dr. Sanjita, we were discussing about this few days, like 2 days back, while we were preparing this presentation. So that will be taken care of. This question will be taken care of. So from employee point of view, now the second most important definition which is covered under this act is of employee, because this entire act is about employer and employee relation and employer and employee dispute. So according to section 2F of this act, a person employed at a workplace for any work includes regular, temporary, ad hoc, daily wage employee, either directly or through any agent, and a person who are working on a voluntary basis, that is without remuneration. The term also includes contract worker, probationers, and trainees. Now, on the second line, if we see, there is a workplace. This workplace, as per this act, is indefinite, and there is a separate definition of workplace which is very wide, and we will be talking about this definition of workplace, because once we have cleared in our mind that what is specifically workplace is, probably we will be able to fit in employer and employee in a better way. So can I have the next one? Now, this is the most important definition where this entire act revolves around. Sexual harassment includes any unwelcome sexual advances, request for sexual favor, and be it be a verbal or a physical harassment of a sexual nature in the workplace or learning environment. According to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, sexual harassment does not always have to be specifically about sexual behavior or direct at a specific person. That means if somebody is trying to push around you and somebody is trying to push around this, then too, if the interpretation comes out to be under the purview of sexual harassment, this definition would cover that. So we can see there are few bullets as per this section, that is physical contact and advances. This all of us can understand, and this is the first thing that comes to our mind कि अगर sexual harassment है तो वहाँ पे जरूर कोई physical contact हुआ होगा या physical disparity आई होगी. Second, a demand or request for sexual favor. Like if anybody is asking me, or if anybody is giving me any bonus, and in favor anybody is asking for any sort of sexual favor, not only physical, again I would say any sort of sexual favor, then that would come under the purview of sexual harassment. Making sexually colored remarks or showing pornography. So this often happens at a workplace, that employer or a co-worker tries to misguide you or mislead you. So those things comes under the definition of sexual harassment. Any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature.
Surangma, you're there? I think we have just lost Surangma here. So maybe she'll just connect back again. So regarding this sexual harassment that we have spoken about here, let me tell you that this is something which is very specifically has also been implemented in the shipping waters also. And we have also got merchant shipping notice 07 of 2019, which had come on 25th September 2019. And it was applicable similarly to these ships also. And the ship owners and ship managers were advised to follow similar requirements just as per this, what is there. what Surangma was talking about. And similarly, they are advised to make an internal complaint committee and ship owners complaint committee or something like that, which is in the office. And there are a lot of seamen who are now women also, and the women have been encouraged to come into shipping. But knowing that it is a more male-dominated field of shipping, it was very important that to encourage the women, they had to be protected with some laws also. And thus, this merchant shipping notice almost takes into consideration all the points. And more than that, it also covers a few other areas of important nature, where some requirements of a woman on a monthly basis or because of their physical nature, the medicines and use of hygienic nature items are need to be kept and protected on board also. As you understand that the ship moves from one place to another, and it could be a long time before they are a woman is allowed to go out, or there is ways and means to get things on board. So because of that, it is important that the ship staff and they ensure that enough of such medicines and such hygienic other material is provided on board, which a woman seafarer can use. Apart from that, the typical nature of shipboard work, as you understand, is pretty robust. And because of that, the ways of working, the language used on board, and the way we seafarers are normally looked upon.
Captain Rahul, can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am. I just had to fill up till the time you connect. So I was talking about the ship, that how this sexual harassment on the ship is also important.
Okay.
So if you are back again, I will just stop. I just finish off what I was saying, then you can continue from there, ma'am. Okay.
So I am once again sorry to my users here. I did not realize my internet got dropped. So coming back to the point,
Yeah.
I was talking about sexual harassment. Sir, can you tell me till where I was?
Yeah. Okay. Just let me finish what I was saying. Then we'll continue from there. Okay. Hello. So what I was saying was that on the ship, as you know, that the work nature and the kind of image that most of the sailors have about enjoying themselves, and with all boys on board, you can understand that how people would be behaving. But then a lot of ships we had women also as our wives or stewardesses and things like that often, if not in Indian scenario. But that was very common that people were working abroad, the women were working abroad in other foreign ships. Thus, in Indian scenario, it was a recent advent of a lot of women coming into shipping, and that is why this law very recently has come into place to ensure that the Merchant Shipping Act also looks at this POSH Act in its own way. Now, being a proactive act in shipping nature, it tries to see that how things can be controlled without becoming a problem at a later time. So in shipping, we are always very proud to say that we are very proactive, and we like to look into things much ahead than when they happen. And that is why a lot of risk assessment and a lot of talks are there that how you should be proactive rather than reactive. So in the sense, this Act MSN Notice 07 of 2019 exactly does that. And it also talks about how people should talk to them, how they should control the behavior, what they are already having on board, usually as seen by most mariners, and how to have the etiquettes also around the working women. That is somewhere described in this notice. Now, Surangma, are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I've just explained where we are at sexual harassment similar to the ship also. So we can now move on to the next slide, which is there.
Okay.
Agreed to one.
Right. So the next important definition that we talk about with respect to Sexual Harassment Act is aggrieved women. That means वो कौन है, वो कौन महिला है जो aggrieved है. All ladies or all women cannot come under the definition of aggrieved women. So according to section 2A, in a relation to a workplace, a woman of any age, whether employed or not, who alleges to have been subjected to any act of sexual harassment by the respondent. Respondent is again the other party on whom or the allegations have been charged. So the person who is aggrieved in a literal mean that a person who has suffered or undergone any sort of sexual harassment is aggrieved woman. Next slide, please. As we can see, aggrieved woman is a working employee at or a domestic worker. जी हाँ, जो हमारे घर पे भी काम करने आती है, she can also claim if any disparity or any sexual harassment takes place at your home. So she can also take the purview of this act. Visitor to workplace. For example, if I have to go for any sort of survey at any random house or at any random site, even at that place, if anything goes wrong, then too I can claim under this act. A student, regular, temporary, ad hoc, any of these categories if one is working with wages or voluntarily, even if anybody is working with any NGO or giving any voluntary service, or if there is no contract signed, but yes, you have an employee or an agreed woman have a proof to prove that she has worked with you, then too she can claim contractual trainee or apprentice. Next slide. As we see domestic workers, as I mentioned earlier also, that domestic worker is why a category of domestic worker is given a separate definition in this, because lot many time it happens that companies or aggrieved women, as I would say again, because since we have briefed about aggrieved women, if somebody has suffered at any domestic service, then a lot of time it happens that she goes and straight ahead go and file any FIR. So that is one relief that is given to her, that is under IPC and all, but that is with respect to a parallel law that runs. Under this POSH Act, she should be aware, या हमारे घर पे जब कोई काम वाली आती है करने, it's our responsibility because हम वहाँ पे employer हैं. So it's our responsibility to tell her that she has a law protecting her, specifically when she is as a domestic worker. Domestic worker means a woman who is employed to do the household work in any household or remuneration, whether in cash or kind, either or through any agency, or a temporary, permanent, part-time or full-time basis, but does not include any member of the family or the employee. अब कल को ये ना हो कि अगर आपके घर का ही कोई है जो आपका काम कर रहा है and that person says that I've been working every day the same routine, so I will come under the purview of domestic worker. No, she will not, because she is your family member. Next slide. This is the most important definition. That is a definition of workplace. Section 2O of this act talks about what is a workplace. So the bullets that you can see here are the, this is a nutshell, what definition as per act says. But Dr. Sanchita will be dealing with workplace in brief, and I am completely leaving this definition to her in order to take this thing ahead, that what workplace is. So next slide. Okay, this is coming, the slide is coming in a reverse form. But I can just mention what is written. So sexual harassment as per this act are of two types. That is quid pro quo. Quid pro quo in a literal language means in favor. अगर हमसे किसी ने किसी तरीके का फेवर मांगा है and हमसे किसी तरीके का काम कराया है, so that will come under the definition or the purview of quid pro quo. An exchange of someone, thing or another, any harassment, any sexual harassment the one undergoes or the aggrieved woman undergoes, that will be quid pro quo. And the second one is the hostile environment. Hostile environment of sexual harassment occurs when any speech or conduct of a sexual nature takes place, as is seen as offensive or intimidating, harassing continuously. If somebody is trying to harass you on making allegations or making charges on you or trying to abandon you sexually, conducts that this is directed to any individual or even in a group, that takes place. That is the hostile environment one is working under. Next slide. So between the definitions and the court action, there is a penalty section, which there are various sections of this act that talks about the penalties or the punishments in correlation with simultaneous acts running. That will be specifically dealt by Dr. Sanchita. I will take you to the court action, and once all the punishments or ICC or LC procedures are done, if there are any queries, we might come back to court action against. So as per section 27(1), the court will take cognizance of the offense on a complaint made by the aggrieved woman or any person authorized by the ICC or LCC. Now, so these two words, ICC and LCC, you will have after 4-5 slides. So let us have ICC and LCC, and if there is any question, we'll come back to court action, because court action only comes when ICC and LCC is over with their formalities. Judge who can entertain this matter is a metropolitan magistrate or a judicial magistrate of a first class will take offense punishable under this act, and no officer lower than this position can take care of this POSH Act or Sexual Harassment Act. Every offense under this act is not cognizable. Not even a single offense under this act is cognizable. Can we have the next slide? Now, retaliation. I'm sure a lot of us know what retaliating is. So, what is retaliation? Retaliation in a simple term, अगर हम देखें तो किसी भी बनी बनाई बात को बिगाड़ना या किसी भी चीज को, if that is ABC, then somebody tries to make it CBA. So retaliation is a very serious violation of this POSH policy. Any form of retaliation against a victim or their supporters is forbidden 100%. And if this comes in the knowledge of ICC, then there are very harsh actions against the person who retaliates. So not only the employer, if retaliator is there and if retaliator is third person, then there is an equivalent action against the person. Retaliation will be treated as a major misconduct of the committee, and the committee will take action to prevent or rectify the retaliation. Next slide.
Surangma, if you don't mind, I have a question here.
Yeah.
That retaliation, is this for only the victim or the perpetrator also is there, if some way the victim themselves do retaliate in such cases, and they try to take law in their hand or something like that? That is also something which this talks about. This is only from part of the eyes of the victim.
So that's a nice question. So fortunately, this retaliation part is for both the parties.
So both the sides, correct?
Yes, this is for both the sides. This is absolutely for both the sides, because this retaliation is not subjected to any employer or employee, but this retaliation is subject to the proceeding that undergoes by or taken care by the committee, right? So this is for both the sides.
Right.
Okay. So the next slide. Now, POSH in virtual workplace. We all are in a situation where working from home is now an accepted part of a corporate life, or I would say our life, because I, being a lawyer, I'm also working from home. So even it was difficult for us to understand, because it's an old, long tradition of appearing in court with big, long gowns. But this concept has changed. This concept has evaluated. So while there were teething troubles around issues such as data privacy and cyber security, companies were quick to identify this concern. There were so many times we were not comfortable working online. But fortunately, this COVID has made all of us so accurate and apt. And hence, companies have come up with their cybersecurity system. This act was enacted to ensure safe working space for women and to build decent work environment. It defined the workplace as any place. So like if we go back to the slide wherein the definition of workplace was there, right? So the working from home concept will also come under the purview and the definition of workplace as per this act clears that a workplace cover both the organized and the unorganized sector and includes any work related, be it be off site, इवन अगर हम ऑफिस की पार्टीज में जा रहे हैं या ऑफिस की छोटी मोटी गेट टुगेदर हो रही है और एनी सोशल मीडिया ग्रुप that means our phones, our WhatsApp, our Facebook, our LinkedIn, anywhere, any place that comes under the ambit of work related relationship. So I had a question somebody asked me from my family itself, like if I have been assaulted or if there is any harassment via WhatsApp, so will that come under this? So yes, that will come because that is a work related relationship. Your co-worker or your employer is charged or is texting you, forwarding you such messages. Also, since this topic is this specific posh and virtual place workplace is a little wide for a ground that even there is a responsibility from the company point of view as well. However, things are not widely this under this act, but yes, it is the responsibility of human resource department to take care and to draft proper rules for dressing up. Even if somebody is having a video call or if somebody is doing work from home sitting on the other side of a computer and not dressed up properly, so there should be rules for the same as well, which HR has to take care of. And I trust me, I have been receiving queries from companies wherein HR are now asking to draft they're asking to draft proper guidelines for a virtual workplace. So this is a good step, but I believe more companies, they need to understand this, that how important it is. Next.
Yeah, just before we move on, I would just like to take the audience and the people that what do they think is the most important thing on a virtual workplace for you to avoid this kind of harassment. For you, what would be the most important thing that as a lady you would not like to see and as a man you would like to do? So if people can just write one most important point for them, that at the virtual workplace, what is the one most important thing for them as a male or as a female? So if we can have the audience writing one thing, one action.
So we'll have those questions. That's something really good. Now the next slide, can we have the next one? So the COVID issue, the COVID scenario, this is the most prominent scenario, or even when we posted this on our LinkedIn for this session, we had questions and we had suggestions that we should cover this. So again, workplace that was covered by my earlier slide, that covers COVID and POSH as well. It means that in a given situation of COVID-19, where we all are working from home and we are at work 24/7, and all electronic mediums used by us for discharging our duties are also work. Example, our laptop, mobile, as I said, our WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Facebook, all videos, audio calls, etc. Everything that is coming under the definition of workplace. In this process, if any woman receive any unwelcome, sexually colored message, text, talk, video, will fall under the purview of POSH Act. She can very well initiate the act as per POSH. So ladies, You all have a safe environment even when you're working from home. And our employers also should be aware of this phase, that they cannot misuse them if somebody is not physically present there. So they should know that there is a law protecting women right behind the screen as well. And the two judgments I have mentioned, in these two judgments it was held that the Honorable Court considered sexually colored messages over the mobile phone and brought this under the purview of our Sexual Harassment Act. So for all women who are working from home, and do your part, the law is there to protect you from sexual harassment.
Surangma, there was a question here where somebody asked that is a WhatsApp message not considered as strong evidence? What do you think so that WhatsApp message may not be considered as a strong evidence?
No, so now there have been a number of times where our Supreme Courts, they have held and they have considered messages forwarded from WhatsApp. So there is an inquiry. There may be a possibility that if A, B are at one place, so phone belongs to A, tries to send something, and then B can delete that. So there is a possibility. So now this entire scenario is subjected to investigation.
Okay.
So yes,
as I would say, yeah, sorry.
So WhatsApp messages are considered as an evidence. If not 100%, then subjected to inquiry.
See, when you say if somebody has written WhatsApp messages can be manipulated, yes, that is true. That is what we are telling you.
That is what I'm saying. It can be manipulated, but that is subjected to investigation. There is no one stand law against it, but yes, this is subjected to investigation.
Yeah, it is something like this, that if that is the thing in a question, then there can be many ifs. But if that message was sent by A to B, then it is a very clear evidence against A, whatever he has written to B. But if A's phone was with C and D had taken it and E wrote it, of course, that is something in investigation which will come out, and then we can discuss as what Surangma just now said. So a WhatsApp message one-on-one, assuming that it was sent directly to that person only, and that person claims that yes, it was from his hands only, then it is a good enough evidence for anything and everything. Let's move on. Yeah.
So there is a question from Soumya ji. She has written, is any person from the LGBT community protected under this right, under this act? So Soumya ji, I would like to tell you, very beginning I said that this covers 3 categories. This act covers 3 categories, and this amendment has been made accordingly. However, not on paper, but yes, on a practical note. So LGTB or transgender, they can also come under this purview. I am leaving this thing to be handled by Sanchita ji, because she has prepared few beautiful examples to explain this. So she will take care of this thing. And still, if you'll have any question, we can come back to this. Now, next is what triggers sexual harassment. We all know there can be sexual harassment, but what actually triggers sexual harassment at workplace? That is a power. In a relation of employer and employee, 99% time employer is at the power. Then comes the male dominance. If your employer is male and if he wishes to accomplish his power, superiority feelings, maybe due to complex or actually feeling superior, so the person tries to take disadvantage, or the person tries to take advantage, any insecurity, any opportunity, easy targets, popularity in society, influence in the organization, or any sort of sexual desire. So these are few bullets that can attract sexual harassment or trigger sexual harassment. Next one. Now, what is not a sexual harassment? As I mentioned few slides back as well, that there is a difference between sexual harassment and humiliation. So these are few examples which does not comes under the definition of sexual harassment. This might not come under the definition of humiliation also, but yes, definitely not under the definition of sexual harassment. That is following up on work absence. Like if you're absent and if you're receiving call from your office, so that doesn't make that this person is trying to follow you or this person is trying to assault you. Requiring performance to job standard. Many other like related stress, example meeting deadlines or quality. Sometimes women misuse this power, saying if there is any deadline given to a female employee, so she uses this posh as a tool or as a weapon. So if somebody is asking you to be dedicated, or if somebody is asking you to perform well, that person is not sexually harassing you. So you will definitely not come under this act in such circumstances. Constructive feedback about work. So same constructive feedback is, again, if somebody is giving any feedback, and if you do not like that feedback, if somebody is saying, if somebody has constantly, if your employer is constantly or your HR is constantly making such allegations that you need to put in more efforts, or your work is not up to the mark, so that is a constructive feedback. That is, you, if this is repeated, you might say that this comes under the definition of humiliation, but this will definitely not come under the definition of sexual harassment. Okay, so I have a question from Mr. Partha Chaudhary. Can I have the previous slide once again? It would be very difficult to prove in case of fifth point. So, Partha ji, आप इसी slide की बात कर रहे हैं?
Yes. The touching, brushing against pushing without a sexual, that connotation is very hard to decide actually.
Right. So touching, brushing against, pushing without a sexual connotation. Now, this is actually very deep. If somebody just passes by me, and if somebody just brushes away, and if I go to my department and if I go to ICC, or if I go to a committee and say that this person just moved by me, just brushed me, or just touched me, so that will definitely not come under the purview. But now, if I know, if I have been noticing, and if I have CCTV cameras installed, and if I have been noticing that there is a constant repetition of these things, like if an employer or if my HR or my co-worker, anybody comes to my desk and touches me, that becomes a frequent habit, then this chain can be put before the committee, and then this is subjected to committee's investigation. So there is a long procedure followed by ICC in order to reach any conclusion. So even other points which I have mentioned here, all these points are subjected to proper investigation, and then only, because this entire process takes time. So all these points are subjected to investigation, and then anything is finalized.
Thanks, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Surangma, one more question, regarding this evidence. Now, one thing is, of course, a CCTV is a very important evidence. And, something like what I would say in this same scenario, where if somebody is touching, brushing, or pushing with or without a sexual connotation, that I would be something like, if you have requested somebody, sir, please be careful. I'll tell you a very raw example. In a lot of weddings and all, a lot of photographers are there who would like to take pictures of the people in front and all, and they often touch people's shoulder or their thing or hand or something like that. I remember one of the time when one of the women told that photographer, don't do it, tell me only. And he repeated that twice, and then of course she shouted at him, and of course we took action as people around it. So the whole point out here is that it is not about only touching, brushing once or just by mistake or something like that, but it is something where you bring it to the notice of your people, the person himself also, and maybe it is by a mistake or something like that happens. But over a period of time, as you correctly said, that if the thing is there twice or thrice it has happened, then obviously that person does have a reason to take back, retaliate.
See, it's
And,
all about putting
take
forward
time.
your complaint. It's all about putting forward your complaint. It is not important that all complaints that are filed under this act. See, it's if you talk about any case, all cases are not actual case, right? So do under this act. If somebody goes and complains this, it is not important, or it is not for sure that this case will have a complete legal protection. Again, I would say this is very important for us to understand the difference between sexual harassment and humiliation. However, there is a recent judgment that has come. There is a very recent judgment that has been passed by Maharashtra court, where it is very clearly said, because the employee was trying to misuse her power under this act, and her rights have been brushed away by the court, because it was clearly clarified that all allegations she has charged upon the person were vague. So again, to conclude, I would say this entire procedure is subjected to investigation.
One question more which comes to my mind is, if a woman does a similar action towards another woman, will it be covered here?
This is something really nice, and I think I and Dr. Sanjita will take up this part together in the end, because she has some examples to put forward.
Okay, Dr. Sanchita, you are back online, because suddenly she called me that you're not.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah, madam, you are there. So you are ready to take over from here?
Yeah, I would like to invite ma'am to proceed with the
Can I
major part
just
of the
ask a question, please, from Surangama regarding this slide only?
Yes.
So it sometimes happens that the employer is abusing on account of stress, or on account of inefficient work. There is this sexual harassment taking place, or somebody may be shaking the employee that you don't know this. So is that, of course, that's a kind of a harassment, but a male employer doing that to a female employee, so would that constitute sexual harassment here, doing that often? Because the employee is inefficient, that's a fact.
So now, so the question that you have put forward, I would like to relate. I had a client few months back, probably last year. I had a client. All right. So she had a similar issue. I met her 3 times. I'm giving this example because this is very relevant. I dealt with. So I met her 3 times. On the 4th meeting, I was supposed to go to her office and meet with her ICC. The moment I used to meet her, every time the way she put forth all her contentions and situation with her was same. She was getting constructive feedbacks. At that point of time, it was constructive word was not used neither by me nor by my client. She had this complaint that my boss, he used to the word she used that time, that my boss, he used to touch me every time. However, that was not the situation. Now, when this matter went to ICC, when I had to go for ICC, see, there is a very thin line. Again, what is not sexual harassment, the slide that we have on right now. Again, the question that you have asked is similar to question asked by Mr. Partha, and similar to the situation I handled few months back. Again, if so, my client, going back to her, she filed a complaint. But when I went there for the first ICC meeting, the way ICC inquired or investigated this entire case, see, they take feedbacks from colleagues, they take feedbacks from the registers, they take emails. So all those things are on record to analyze and understand what actually is the situation. So in my condition, when I went there, I found my client was completely lying to me, and situation was completely reversed. So these kind of situation needs both side of understanding. We cannot make the entire case on a ground that has been presented by a aggrieved woman who is not actually a aggrieved woman, right? So a proper investigation is something that is required, and that can be done only by ICC. That I being a representative of one person or other party being a representative of one person will not be able to decide. We are there just as a mediator. we as a lawyer or a person representing is just a mediator. ICC is a committee who takes care of all these things on a prescribed format.
That's right. So it often happens, it's not a sexual harassment case, but the employee is getting humiliated, being harassed for the inefficiency in the work, or because perhaps of the stress of the employer. Is there any
Right.
law enacted for such kind of workplace harassment, which is not necessarily sexual?
So right now we are covering POSH, or we are covering sexual harassment, right? So I will be restricting myself to the fact. Again, I would say there are parallel.
Surangma, allow me to answer this question because I've been in that position in an office also, and I've had workers.
Let me just complete this sentence and then you can take this ahead. Because to my understanding, hello.
Yeah, sorry, I could not hear you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying let me just complete my sentence and then probably you can take this on a situation basis. So, as on the very beginning, I mentioned that there are parallel laws running which are protecting the rights of counterpart or the respondents, and so do POSH is, since being a female or a women-centric law. So this will only protect the right, but this will not let you misuse your rights and powers.
Right.
Now, Captain, you
it's
can
basically a kind of a shield. It's not a is what I get.
This is a kind of a shield. Definitely, this is a kind of a shield that a woman should not feel insecure. If we talk about this, then simultaneously, sir, I can see you have written Dr. Sumit. So you're well aware of this Domestic Violence Act, right?
That's right.
So what is happening in domestic violence? Now we are coming up with so many fraud cases or so many fake cases. So it's everywhere. It needs a proper investigation, and every case cannot be legally right. Right. So is the condition with this act. This works as a shield. Absolutely correct.
Many thanks. Sir, you can please add on.
Yeah, see, in the position where I was handling about 40 people in a company and just about 500 seamen were there. Whenever you get a message from a ship or something like that, or in the office also, that a certain employee has been harassed, which he claims to be, and he gives a written complaint or something like that. Obviously, then what you very correctly, you yourself said, that is just a harassment. And that is depending on if that person was already performing and then he was being still told that he's not performing. So his appraisal reports, his review from the other people, seniors, the juniors, all that can be taken into account to find out if, and is of course the output of the market which he gets. So this is something which has to be dealt separately, and it may not be the sexual harassment. So let's move on from here, and let's discuss that in a separate way, sir. And certainly
So
it would be a
I
sexual
would
harassment.
call Dr. Sanchita to come and take this thing ahead now, and then probably, sir, Captain Rahul, I think we can restrain ourselves because we are running short on time now. So ma'am can take ahead, and then at the end we can take up the questions, right?
True. That's why. Yeah. True.
Okay. So ma'am, all yours.
Hi, hello everybody. Surangma has been giving a very insightful talk till now. I'll be talking about internal complaint committee, that is ICC. Now, before going into much details about it, first of all, I will like to define what exactly is internal complaint committee. See, this has been mentioned in section 4 of 1, that every employer in the workplace shall constitute a committee, and this committee would be called as internal complaint committee. Now, this internal complaint committee has to be located in one place. Now, what is the place of location of the internal complaint committee? It can be located at the workplace, or if the workplace is smaller, or if the administrative unit is not there, then it can be in a different place where the administrative unit or the subdivisional unit or maybe the divisional unit is located, and that comes under section 4 of 1 itself. Now, as you can see in this slide, internal complaint committee must have a presiding officer, and she must be a woman. Now, related to this presiding officer thing, it is a must that the presiding officer, the woman presiding officer, has to have the senior most position in the organization. Now, if senior most position is not occupied by a woman officer, then it is taken not as per the seniority of according to the work, but according to the age also it can be taken up. In case there is no one to be the presiding officer in that particular workplace, then rule is that the presiding officer has to be nominated from a similar workplace, or maybe the presiding officer has shall be nominated from some other department or other organization, but it has to be a lady officer only, and she has to be the senior most. Second is someone from social or legal experience. This member is supposed to be considered as an external member. Someone, another external member has to be there, that is who is familiar with the issues of sexual harassment. The fourth member has to be somebody from NGO and has to be an independent member. And it is a must that the internal complaint committee should have at least 2 employees from the organization itself. Now, when making this internal committee, that this internal complaint committee should always have people not in even number, that is odd number. So that is one of the tip that has to be taken care of. Secondly, there should always be a backup team to replace in case some member leave or some emergency happens. And the third tip of forming an IIC is that IIC may try to attempt or arrange counseling for both the parties, like depending on the situation and the circumstance. Like as Surangama has said, that one is an aggrieved woman and another is the respondent. So there has to be some, if required, there has to be some counseling session related to the situation or the circumstance. Can I have the next slide, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Next is the local complaint committee. Like IIC is there is also one thing that has to be there, that is called the local complaint committee. This local complaint committee should have at least 5 members, including one chairperson, always a woman member from the municipality, 2 members from the NGO, most preferably women, and a social welfare officer who should be the ex officio member of the LCC. Now, the role of LCC and role of IIC, I will be talking about at the end of my presentation when I'm doing the cases, so that all of you have a proper understanding of where LCC, that is local complaint committee, comes into action, and where ICC, that is internal complaint committee, comes into action. Can I go to the next slide, please? Secondly, now this is the how long, what is the tenure of LC and IC, that is internal complaint committee and the local complaint committee, is that as I have been told, like as I have been telling, that half of the total members should be women, and presiding officer should also be a woman, and the presiding officer shall hold the office for a period of 3 years. And sometimes, if required, the presiding officer can also be removed based on the 4 points mentioned below, that is not maintaining the confidentiality. Like these cases, when come to the ICC or LCC, strictest confidentiality has to be maintained, because these cases are very sensitive in nature. Secondly, the convicted from any offense or an inquiry is pending for any offense under any other law in force. If the person is found guilty, or proceedings or in disciplinary action, if it is pending, and if the person has abused his position in the office or still in the office, and it is of the public interest, then the presiding officer can be removed. So presiding officer has to stay there for 3 years and has to follow certain rules and regulations to be there. Sir, next slide. Now, next comes is the responsibility that has to be followed by IC and LC. First of all, the meeting has to be with proper quorum. Minimum of 3 members have to be there when a complaint comes. So, a quorum of minimum 3 members. Second is to provide patient and non-biased hearing to both the parties. Now, sometimes it happens that after investigation, it is found that it was not a case of sexual harassment, but probably something else. So, the woman who has filed a wrong complaint has to be punished, and the person and the respondent, till now who was the respondent, has to be treated properly, because he is actually not, he has been found not to be guilty. Thirdly, be aware of all the provisions of law, rule, and service rule. Service rule is something that every organization has, and the ICC and the LCC should be very well aware of the rules, laws, and the service rule. Laws in particular, because there are certain places wherein POSH Act does not come under the purview, IPC comes under the purview, and many other laws come under purview. In that case, at least a little bit of a proper know-how of the law should be there. Inform the complainant about option of settlement. This is also one case when the complainant can go in for some kind of settlement, because maybe the strictest of the action taken against the respondent, maybe it is very strict. So in that case, the ICC or the LCC can ask for the complainant to get an settlement. If it is not a case with the complainant, then definitely it goes to the higher thing. On the basis of option to proceed, inform her about the interim relief to the aggrieved woman, like what all reliefs are to be given. And the most important thing is the IC or the LC has to adhere to the timeline, because within 90 days the thing have to be sorted out. That is 3 months, it has to be sorted out, and whatever decision has been taken out has to be told to the aggrieved woman as well as the respondents, and the case has to be settled. So timeline is a must. Can I have the next one? Now, how to form an ICC? So, as I told you, the total number of ICC should be in odd number, because sometimes we take voting of certain situations. So, in that case, if we have in odd number, so we can have majority decision. There should be always a backup team, as I told you, and counseling is needed. If counseling is needed, then we have to go about it. So, next one, please. Now, the most important thing is how the redressal mechanism works. Now, every establishment, if the number of employees is 10 or more, the internal committee is mandatory. But if the number of employees are less than 10, there is no mandate of forming an IC or internal committee. Then, in that case, the local complaint committee should be taken into consideration for putting up the case. Like the aggrieved woman can proceed to the LC instead of going to the IC, because IC is not present in an organization where number of employees is less than 10. And in case of unorganized sector, now unorganized sector, as I've told you, like Surangama has also told, like the domestic help, or maybe the laborers, or these kind of people who are not in the regular payrolls, they are all unorganized sectors. So all the cases have to be taken to the LC. If the complaint is against the chairman or the top boss establishment, then LC has to be approached, because ICC will not be functional in that case. So this is how a redressal mechanism works. The procedure of filing a case. An aggrieved woman may make a complaint of sexual harassment either in writing or to the internal committee as applicable. The complaint should come under within 3 months. Now, sometimes what happens is due to severe depression or sometimes due to certain circumstances, the complainant is unable to make a complaint within 3 months. Then this is considered as a special case. Then ICC, when the complaint comes to the ICC, they make a special recommendation that due to the following cases, the complaint could not come within 3 months, and accordingly, it is taken care of. A complaint has to be lodged also to this particular website. This is SheBox. SheBox is a website by Women and Child Development Government of India. In the SheBox, I'll be showing you the screenshot of SheBox. It's a very user-friendly site where a complaint has to be filed. In case the aggrieved woman is not able to file the case, then any person, friend or relative who has the proper knowledge of the incident can also file the case. In case the person becomes mentally or physically incapable or dead, then also the complaint can be filed by somebody else who has the knowledge of the case. And a total of 6 number of copies have to be submitted by the affected person. Sir, the next slide, please. This is the website. This is the SheBox. When you click on the website, then you will find this particular thing. The one button shows register complaint, another is to see the status of your complaint. Now, when you're making a complaint, there is a proper step of the complaint. Like the box will show some pop-ups wherein you have to enter whether you are from a government organization or a private sector, whether you are under the payrolls or you are ad hoc or you are not a permanent employee. In that way, certain steps have to be followed, and at the end, you have to submit the button. And once the complaint is submitted, then the final status of this complaint can be viewed online. So it's very easy technique that has been followed. So everybody can have to see like what is the status of the complaint that has been there. And it is not possible for everybody to go and view the status complaint, because status complaint is displayed only by a password generated. OTP आता है, उसके बाद एक password generate होता है, then only you can see the status of your complaint. So next one, please. Now, I was talking about the interim relief, like when the inquiry is going on or when a complaint has been filed, the complainant must get some relief. She may be transferred to a different location from where the respondent cannot get in touch with her. Secondly, she can be given a leave up to 3 months, and that is paid just to have a respite from the respondent. And retaining respondent to supervise her work from writing her appraisal. In case the appraisal process is going on, the respondent is not allowed to write her appraisal. Now, how does, like, is the, like, somebody may ask, is there a proper way or is there a proper format of writing a complaint? Yes, there is. When we are putting up a complaint to the internal complaint committee or maybe to the LC, the things that have to be mentioned is your name, the date on which the incident have taken place, the time at which the incident has taken place, the working relation, like what a worker you are, and finally a detailed description of the incident. So that has to be there in the complaint. So once the complaint is made and it goes to the committee, then after this interim measure comes the next step, that is how things are taken forward. So next slide, please. When the aggrieved woman is found to be the real aggrieved and the respondent is found to be guilty, compensation is given on the basis of these 4 things. One is mental pain and suffering, loss of career opportunities, and medical expenses, if at all anything, because most of the women, they get into a state of trauma after severe sexual harassment. So whatever medical expenses she has faced has to be refunded, and income and financial and this has the payment has to be made by the respondent according to the financial condition and the income of the person. And the respondent can pay it to the aggrieved woman either in lump sum or as an installment. So that is all about the compensation part. Now, how does the redressal takes place? There will be 4 meetings. The first meeting happens just after 7 days of putting up the complaint. So that is the time limit. They find out whether at all it was a case of sexual harassment or not, or whether it was just a workplace harassment, and any other additional information required. Like if they want, they can find the CCTV camera footage, they can find the video calls, or maybe the emails, or whatever kind of communication and correspondence has taken place. That thing is taken care of in the very first meeting. This is the internal committee meeting. The committee members meet for the first time, and minimum 3 members should be there, as I have mentioned. After this, the second meeting. So the next slide, please. In the second meeting, the aggrieved woman is made to appear before the committee. The committee make sure that the aggrieved woman is properly comfortable, so that she can state what all things have happened, and it is made very clear to the aggrieved woman. Till now, she is the aggrieved woman. It has not been proved whether the respondent is guilty or not. So it is very important to inform her about all the legal aspects in the sense, what if she is found to be guilty, in the sense that whatever complaint she has made is all false, and also about the legal aspect, as what are the legal implication if the respondent is found guilty. She's also told about some options about reconciliation and the interim measures that can be taken with her, so that if she's going about for that for the further procedure of the redressal process, then she can be given an interim measure and proceed according to the option chosen by the complainant. Sometimes the complainant refuses to go further, and if the complainant agrees to go further, then with a proper sign that yes, I am okay with it, the second meeting goes beyond the level, and then we have the third meeting. So the next is the conciliation. If settled, like if both agree on settlement, then both the parties are asked to sign in front of the ICC members. The signed copies of the settlement are forwarded to the employees and both the parties. And in case of settlement, no further inquiry is conducted by the committee. If at all, in the second meeting, the aggrieved woman agrees for conciliation. So the fourth slide, so next slide. If at all the conciliation does not work, then we go in for the fourth inquiry. Now, in the fourth inquiry, both the complainant and the respondent is asked to be present. Recommendation of interim measures are told to the complainant. Respondent is allowed to plead not guilty. Statement of both the parties are taken into consideration. Then cross-examination of parties are done. Now, while this cross-examination is being done, it can be done based on some video recording, so that they have a proof of what exactly has been said during the cross-examination. Then all the witnesses are cross-examined, and uh, later on both the parties are uh, asked to write the case of each of them in a proper format, in a proper paper, and submit it to the inquiry committee. So next, please. Next, we will be talking relationships are considered. Sometimes is to exist to seize that case conduct then if it is an have any relation because they might have fear of their relationship of the behavior earlier all of a sudden becomes unwelcome, and that can be treated as sexual harassment. There is a case that at the end where I will be showing you how exactly this happens. So next one please. Now this is the deadline. The first complaint from the complainant has to come within 3 months. Then the first meeting has to have within 7 days. The second after like within 10 days. The inquiry proceedings have to be completed within 90 days, and after the inquiry is submitted within 10 days, the submission of inquiry has to be done. Within 60 days of submission of the inquiry report, the management have to take a decision about the inquiry report. Then appeal by either authority, like everybody is given equal chance of appealing. So if the respondent is found to be guilty and he wants to proceed further to appeal, then within 90 days it has to be given, and later on the within 5 years the final date of decision has to be done. So these are the time schedule, and ICC has to take care of this deadline and has to strictly follow these deadlines. So next one please. Punishments here, some of them have been already discussed by Surangma. So I'll be talking about if in case the respondent is found to be guilty, punishment fine up to 50,000 can be done on the employer, because employer has to take care of all the measures wherein a lady or a woman is does not go under the sexual harassment process. Second is if the things are repeated, then twice the punishment, that is whatever has been fined earlier, the employer is liable for that amount. And hello, I just got disconnected.
Yes, madam.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible.
Some error came up. Yes, and under the third section, that is section 26 of 2, it says that even the license and the renewal of license and registration will be cancelled by the government authority or the local authority. So now non-compliance, if the employer fails to have constitute an ICC, if the inquiry report is not properly given, and if he is not able to punish the complaint, then the for such non-compliance act 50,000 is fined, which gets doubled in case of repeated non-compliance, and risk of shutting down business and cancellation of registration by local authorities is there. So it is mandatory for all the organizations to have an internal complaint committee, and it has even been made compliant by even the UGC and AICT, that the educational institute should also constitute their internal complaint committee, and they should follow all the rules and regulations and processes which is followed then. So next one please. If by chance the woman is found to be false and a malicious complaint has been filed by her, then the aggrieved woman is no longer considered as an aggrieved woman. Then the complaint has been found to be forged or misleading document, it may be recommended to the employer to take action against the woman as well, as it has been mentioned in the service rule to him or her. So, ladies, if at all you are thinking that you can go away with it, it's not that easy, because POSH, yes, it is a woman-friendly act, but yes, males are also taken care, as if they are like, if the woman is found to produce a forged or misleading complaint, then the woman is the one who will be punished. So the next one. And it is also mandated to all the organizations that they submit an annual report. An annual report must have number of complaints received, number of complaints disposed, number of pending complaints which has not been taken care of for more than 90 days, and number of awareness programs held. Now it is also mandated by the POSH Act that every organization should have at least 1 to 2 awareness programs done for the employer and the employees, so that this act is not taken so light. And according to the recent amendments that has been passed in 2014, the disclosure statement should contain that IIC is constituted according to the POSH Act, and this has to be very, very mandated. So this is all about the ICC, LCC, how is the redressal process take place. Now I will be discussing about some of the case studies where you can find out exactly how is it taken care of. If anyone has any question related to this, I can handle it right now. Here I have a question kind of can be planned. Yeah, hello. As has been said that this program related to POSH, like proper POSH training of how what is sexual harassment, what is not a sexual harassment, what are the legal things that can happen if a false case has been filed, who will fall under POSH, who all will be covered under POSH. Everything is covered under a POSH training, and as I've told you, it is mandated for every organization to have these two things done in here.
And madam, one more thing, is there a format for making a complaint? Because in our shipping circular, there in an annex 2 has been given in MSN notice 9 of 2009, 7 of 2019, where we have been given a format for reporting a sexual harassment act. So is there some kind of a format also given here?
Yeah, I've told this already. There is a proper format wherein you have to mention your name, what has been registered in the office record, the date on which the harassment has taken place, the time at which the harassment has taken place, what is your official relationship in the office, like what kind of employee you are, and the detailed description about the incident has to be mentioned. So this is the basic format that has to be followed.
Okay, and any kind of evidence which is there, will it be left to the ICC to find out, or we have to inform that accordingly?
Sir, in the meetings, when we are talking about taking care of the evidences, evidence can be a person. Evidence can be in form of emails. Evidences can be in form of CCTV footage. It can be anything. So this happens at the second meeting. Sorry, at the third meeting, when inquiry is going on and both the complainant and the respondent is there. and all these things are taken out in front of them so that nobody can disagree to whatever has been said.
Okay, there is a question here that what are the penalties a company can face in case office has not implemented the POSH committee so far? Actually, already that was answered in one of your slides, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is a penalty of around 50,000 rupees. And after repeated warnings, also the employer can be also taken to task through other criminal procedures.
First time it is 50,000. Second time it is double of what has been paid for the third time, and even the license is cancelled.
Okay, the one more question which is there is any person from the LGTB community protected under this act? I think Surangma, you had answered this question already. Is it correct? Surangma, are you there?
Yeah, if we are talking about the transgenders, first of all, every organization now has to have a proper identification of the person at the very first go. It is not possible because transgender an equal opportunity as equal genders. Like they can either be either declare themselves as proper males, either they declare themselves as proper females, or they may not declare themselves with any kind of gender. But that has to be done right before your employment, and it is not possible like when the inquiry is going on and the person is found to be guilty, all of a sudden that person says is no, I'm a woman, so I do not come under POSH. So this has to be taken care by the organization itself, that beforehand, because there is some case I do not know about the right section of which act, but I have read it, and it has been told quite often that in there is no discrimination, yes, but it is the responsibility of the organization to declare to take a declaration from the person that whether that person is he, she, or not declared at all. And if it has been not declared, then acts come different. It is not a POSH act, then it can go under any IPC act or anything over and above POSH, because everybody is protected by law.
Okay, before we wind up, madam, if any other questions come in between, can you just bust some of the myths finally about this law, which normally people have a couple of them, which are very, very branded myths for this kind of a law?
Yeah, one myth that everybody says is that POSH is a gender biased thing. See, POSH is not a gender biased thing, but it is there to exclusively protect the ladies at workplace. Because what has happened is the male gender in the workplace, often they are very confused about what exactly is happening, and if they are getting any kind of if they are getting any kind of sexually colored comments or messages or anything of that case, they start thinking it as their prerogative and they start enjoying it. So in that case, it's not considered at all. But yes, women are taken care under POSH specifically because in India, if you can see that lots of cases are actually happening with the woman other than man. It is 17% men who get problem, and the rest is the woman. Secondly, if the male is facing any problem, it is not the POSH Act which comes under Act. The person can definitely go to an HR and give a complaint, and laws are there to protect him also. Then it goes to the IPC, and whatever laws is applicable for him, he can be taken care of.
Sanchita ji, I would like to just say in between. Sanchita ji, can we take up this LGTB community part? There is a question by Ms. Soumya.
Yeah, I've taken care of that.
Okay, okay. So,
one very important thing which I would like to point out from my experience and my talking to various people in various offices, apart from the MNCs and big corporate names, I think smaller offices still need to implement this thing very, very properly in their system. And also, if there are from anybody from the shipping industry, they need to make sure the policies and the implementation of ICC and the formulation of ICC, if they do not have a woman in their system of such a rank who can become a head, so what they can do then, or how they can take help of other professionals, even if they don't have people in their own office to take care of it. All these questions are still not very well answered in a lot of offices, which most probably I would say in a smaller offices which are there with 10 or 20 people or something like that. So I strongly suggest to spread this word with people about this requirement of POSH law in especially medium size and long and small offices. And any other questions, if there are there, I've already put the email ID, and you have the email ID in the emails and other places. You can always send us, and we will request the panel to answer it to you. Okay, can POSH be used in Marine College? If not, yes, POSH can be. See, Marine College or not, sir, it is about a workplace. Now, a workplace is an office, it is a home, it is also a ship. Okay, one interesting question.
I think Sanchita can come on video as well.
One question which I have got for Surangma or Sanchita both, I read one example. A delivery boy of food delivery or whatever boy comes to your home.
Yeah, I was about to give one case.
Okay, sorry, please go ahead.
This case is like Arun and Raji. I'm just giving a conceptual name. Arun and Raji are colleagues of a reputed company. They are participating in a company-sponsored event organized in ABC Hotel. Arun has a liking for Raji and makes some advances in the party. He becomes uncomfortable to come under POSH. So in this case, like the last part of my slide says that there can be consensual relationship at the beginning, and later on it can turn out to be a POSH act. Why? Because maybe the relationship has ceased to exist. Maybe something has happened which is again under the POSH act. So this can be one POSH case. Another example is just give me one more second.
This Surangma, meanwhile, if you can answer this question again, a lot of people don't have this clarity. If there is a woman who has done some act which is sexually harassment, then does this act cover that? Yes or no? First of all, yes or no?
Right. So under a situation where any act is conducted by a woman, now this is again subjected to dispute as of now. But a lot of complaints have been filed wherein employer is a woman and even aggrieved part is a woman. So yes, this can be taken into a consideration. But
So
had it been a reverse situation wherein a male is aggrieved, then POSH cannot protect her rights.
Okay,
because
so
it happens under what or by what mean a woman is harassing a woman. So yes, this can cover.
Okay, let us put it like this: a woman sexually harassed by anybody, any gender, any race, any religion, this act covers it. Simple as that.
Yes, as simple as that.
As simple as that. Okay.
So I would like to take one more case. It says that Dhruv Agency is a small company having around 12 male employees. During working days, Miss A, a tea vendor near the office, used to serve tea and snacks to these employees 2 times a day. One day, Miss A informed the head of Dhruv Agency that while serving tea, Mr. B, one of the employees, had caught hold of her hand and invited her to his home for obvious reason. So this is a case of POSH, and instead of putting it onto the ICC, because the lady, that is Miss A, is not a worker of that organization, she comes under unorganized sector. So this can be put into the local complaint committee, and this is considered as hostile work environment. So wherever the person goes, if it is for work and not for partying or anything else, that place is considered to be a workplace. So if at all a person who is like a Swiggy person, or maybe a food a person who has come to your house for delivering a food, and during these COVID times, it is said that the grocery store people also come to your place and they will deliver the things to you. For them, your place becomes then their workplace. So if any problem happens, you are not supposed to go to your organization for putting up the complaint, but you are supposed to go to the local complaint, and then the case has to be put.
Right. So any other,
so ma'am,
I see a question here. If college has not addressed POSH, who checks if POSH is introduced into the college? This is checked by AICTE, the College Regulation Authority, and UGC. And this has to be made sure that the college properly addresses the POSH issue.
Okay, so ma'am, very closely to what you said, sometimes there are female auditors going in to the client's company, and they sit for long hours. That would also be covered into POSH, necessarily not being their workplace there, being at the client's place.
How does it become? What is the offense here? I didn't understand.
Whatever could be the offense, sir, it is POSH. It is covered under POSH, but it is not happening at her workplace, but it is happening at the client's workplace. The woman auditor is going at the client's workplace. Any kind of offense amounting to POSH.
So, Dr. Sanchita, you would like to take this question, or should I take?
You can do it. Actually, the question was not audible to me properly, so you can take it up.
So even there was a little glitch. So what I could understand, sir, you're asking that if an auditor or if any employees is going to client's place, so will that come under the purview of POSH or not? Is this what you're asking?
Yes, it's the question.
Okay, so yes, because for that point of time, if any representative of your office is going to do your office work at any client's place, so if any mishappening takes place there, then yes, this will be considered under POSH, because that lady is going and rendering her work service there. So cases with the pizza boy also. If pizza boy is at your doorstep, and if something wrong happens with the boy, with the person who the pizza boy is delivering at, or any sort of mishappening happens, then that lady cannot, as dealt by Dr. Sanchita, cannot go to the company of this pizza boy, but yes, can go to LC for the complaint.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
So this was your question.
Yeah, it answers very well.
So I think once and for all, you can open cameras if everybody is comfortable here. So at least we can see faces and we can conclude this. If Dr. Sanchita has something left to speak, she can.
Not really. I think all the cases have been done, and I have talked about hostile work environment also, like as for the case that I told you, like when she comes to deliver tea to the people in an office, and some mishap happens there. So that is hostile work environment, and that is the case of yeah.
Okay.
So all to you, Captain Rahul.
So does anybody? I have any more questions here, or we can? You have got our email IDs and all everything, so we can all connect with each other through that also. So for now, I think.
Is it possible that we can all have all of them on one screen, and then we can have a group photograph here?
Mr. Thakur is asking something.
Yeah, somebody is asking something.
Sir, in the meanwhile, just lawyer, this POSH law and is new to me, but very well in seminar of 2 hours. Many thanks to all of you.
Yeah, is it possible all of us can just put on a video, please? And so that for some people, of course, a lot of people have left by now, but whoever are there, they're requested to just put on their video, please.
I think turning on video for everybody is not that convenient. So, and we have
No,
taken.
it's okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Thank you, Surangma. Thank you, Dr. Sanchita, for your time. And I think we have been asking
Excuse me,
a lot of
Rahul.
questions.
Rahul,
Hello?
Yes, yes. We
Rahul,
have.
I have one question.
Yeah, sure,
I'm
please go ahead.
I'm the principal of Marine College. I just want to know who checks if the POSH is introduced in the college. Who checks?
Yeah, Sanchita madam had just told that AICTE and UJC are the people, are the authorities who can check this in your college. And it is a requirement as per if you have more than 10 people working in your office. As simple as that, you need to follow with this requirement. And you need to ensure your policies, committees, and procedures are there in place. It is just like our MLC redressal system, which is there in the shipping companies. And
Yes.
also, as you know, MSN 07/2009 is for the ships, for the POSH implementation on ships also.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you are just any office like anybody else would be when you are in a marine college, I would say. And as Madam very clearly said, there are other people also who can watch you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Importantly,
And rest, you can contact me also. We can discuss further on how to go about it, and we'll take help of Surangma and Madam to implement the systems.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, if all are happy, and then we would allow Surangma and Dr. Sanchita to sign off now. And thanks very much once again for all of you to join. I'm sorry there was some technical glitch initially, and more importantly, I think our internet connections are also an issue. It's not
Right,
only the
that's
system which was an issue.
the major issue. That's the major issue.
Yeah.
And
Because we have been using platform for various other online programs in last few days, and somehow we didn't have a lot of problem because before trying it out, we wanted to make sure it is good enough. And 20-30 people had joined in the last session also, which we had. But anyway,
initially we had good number, but I think due to this technical glitch, otherwise we had good number initially. But anyway.
No, it is good. Surangma, I think we should try and find more time. And Dr. Sanchita, you have other areas of expertise also, I know. So we can ask you how much time you have from your busy schedule though to spend some more time next week also on some other issues. Dr.
Sure,
Sanchita is a counselor also, and she helps children to understand what career path to take. And she has got various ways of doing a test and help the children also. So you can contact us for any of these requirements. And of course, we are into human resource also through our associate Neboxel, where we hire people from a secretary level to CEO level in various companies. And we have got Nira Wellness, which looks into the wellness initiatives of people also. And of course, Surangma and I are always there for any other legal help that you would like. I am in Mumbai and she is in Lucknow. And we have other associates in other places also to help you around. Thank you very much. And I would like to sign off from here. And please be safe, please be healthy. And have a nice weekend ahead. And hopefully things will be normal very soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
bye.